the shift of the pitch from a physical meeting to a call or a Zoom meeting, right? Now this shift, the difficulty of this shall vary by whether it's a B2B transaction, if you're selling, paints or machinery or semiconductors to an organization, it's as grassroots as cement, steel, tiles, iron. Right? So it's going to be a little different. Now, for us, it's precisely this shift, which is number one, training the salesman to switch seamlessly between a physical meeting and a sales pitch over a call or a Zoom meeting. That's very, very important. So this is our possibly priority number one. We have a very ambitious 20-25% growth, and this will obviously come by increasing reach and width. And this we are going to attempt to do through a mixture of both physical visits when the opportunity presents itself, as well as a telephonic or a digital intervention. So that's our priority number two, and priority number three is, other than this of course mode of interaction and making the right pitch and making it effective, is how we and this is of course not got much to do with the pandemic, but how do we make our sales team look at data more granularly? Because a lot of old businesses in India have been predominantly focused on primary sales. And they're in, this typical story of month-end dumping to wholesalers and distributors, and then money getting stuck in the market because there's hardly any demand generation work going on around, the secondary and the tertiary markets.
Correct.
So that's my priority number three, the entire piece about demand generation.
The top three priorities for us is, from the top line perspective, we grow by 25+%, profitability by 2x. Remember 2020, that sucked out. If you're not building up volumes, and you're actually fixed cost impacts are pretty high, and profitability at 2x, to diversify our portfolio into data-enabled businesses. So, pandemic also gave us a lot of latitude to spend, get groups together and put the lot of know-how that we have to create and, craft out this data-enabled business model. We have that ready. We have done the POC and the minimum viable product as well ready. Looking forward, by Q4, we want to make this a commercial deal. And that is the biggest game changer for us. While we are launching it this year, and this being the stepping stone, the future years, we see that, this is going to have a disruptive effect in the market. And, that helps, for us to also distribute the portfolio, because, just selling chemicals was, we are good at it. Everybody respects and everybody has a good brand image. But now, the know-how that we have built in, servicing those chemical applications, how do we bring that to, the data points? Because while, there are processes that is taking place in a manufacturing unit, nobody was looking at the data points. Now, Joydeep also mentioned a little bit about, the attrition rates. While the attrition rates are not seen today in the plants, but eventually it is going to come, because everybody is going to look at something different to do as their colleagues are sitting at home and doing work. They're also going to see that, I'm going to be standing here for a long time. And, going back to also what Girish mentioned about automation, the pace that he talked about, right? One aspect is automation. Everybody is going in for automation. And as more and more automation comes through, the data points become super, super important. And there is a humongous value for those data points. And those are the three things for us, Vivek.
Fundamentally, I see that as CAN, C-A-N. From our priorities per se. C standing for core, A standing for adjacencies, and N standing for new. So what I mean by this is, if I take the first one, which is CAN, the core part, we need to protect our core. So today, when we are talking of all the uncertainties, which is also impacting supply chain big time, even as sales professionals, we need to jump in because our sourcing guys will be in pain. We need to give shoulder to them, work with them to solve their pain points. So right from providing that the information, because disruption could be happening in India or overseas because of a lockdown, because of COVID case in a plant, supplies being disrupted, how quickly and how reliable information can we share with the customer, which is part of protecting the core. At the same time, can we ensure undisrupted supplies? So this is where, while some people may just shove it off saying, hey, this is supply chain. However, I believe that era has gone. Sales guys needs to jump into it, work hand in hand with the supply chain colleagues to resolve the customer problems on this. Also, if we see, there's a lot of raw material increases, which is happening across industries. So at some point in time, very transparent conversation needs to happen with the customers as well to increase the prices or do certain form of pain sharing, which is again for me part of protecting the core. So this is, let's say, the first priority for the year. The second is looking into adjacencies, and this is where focus is on expansion. As Varun was mentioning some time back, there are pockets of growth which has opened up, which at some point in time, even 1-2 years back, they were not so easily visible. So now point is, can we focus on those adjacencies as well and look at leveraging and converting them into revenues for the organization? And third is with respect to new areas. How do we venture into new areas? So this goes in line with what you and Barun were mentioning on innovation and co-creation. If you look at automotive industry, we talked about pace. At the same time, there is AI, there is blockchain, there are a whole host of other technologies also impacting. So can we look at creating certain POCs? Can we look at doing some joint demos with the customer? Can we look at building our capability in these new areas jointly, where these could be identified as strategic business areas, both for your firm and the customer firm, which fundamentally creates these new growth avenues? And this is something which will also help us go back to what Joydeep was mentioning some time back on the talent front. So especially the top talent would love to have these kind of challenges, which itself becomes a thriving environment for them, even from a retention per se, while the other hygiene factors needs to be provided as well. So point is, all these three put together becomes a priority for me as CAN,